Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Health meeting. First item on agenda is to call the meeting to order. At this time, I am going to hand the meeting over to Darlene Coyle so we can do a reorganization of the board. Darlene, take it away.
Thank you, Ryan. So at this time, we do have a new appointment, actually a renewal of an appointment for Ray Gauthier. And at this time, I would ask the board to reorganize officially and name your chair and vice chair.
I'll nominate Ray as chair.
I second the motion.
Very good. I have a nomination for Ray Gauthier as chair and a second from Marion. And is there a vote of an approval?
Aye.
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 Okay.
I didn't
So,
hear it, sorry.
Motion.
Steve made the motion. Marion seconded for Mr. Gauthier for chairman
Okay,
for reorganization formally of the board.
all right.
So hearing all the approved votes for Ray Gauthier, I give the meeting back to you, Mr. Gauthier, as
Okay.
chair. Congratulations.
Thank you. At this time, we need a vice chair. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate. You're already nominated.
I second the nomination of Steve. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, at this time, I ask for a vote for Steve's nomination to
I
appointment
vote.
as vice chair.
I vote that,
Aye. So it's 3-0 for Steve to be vice chair.
absolutely.
Okay. Now we can move on.
Thank you so much.
Did everybody have a chance to look at the agenda
Kinda.
and just see, not the whole package, just the agenda
Oh,
itself?
okay.
Is there anything we need to add or subtract from the agenda?
At this time, we have a series of hearings on the meeting.
Mhm.
And at this time, I would ask that Crystal Caves be removed from the hearings.
Okay.
Who is that?
The Crystal Caves on the
Okay,
bottom.
good.
Does anybody have issue with that? No? Okay, it
That
is removed.
resolved, we can remove it. Yep.
Okay. All right. At this point, we have two bill schedules. One that definitely has to get in today. We have the last one of fiscal year 14. So we just have a bunch of little. Actually, I already looked at it. So if you want to take a quick look at that,
Okay.
I will look at this one. And this is just the memberships on this one. So see if Steve wants to take a look. And this one is for the first one of fiscal year 15. So that's a June and this is a July. Yep. Okay. Sure. That's fine. Any discussion
You
on?
know all these items are?
Excuse me?
Are you familiar with these items?
I went through and checked them against the list, and as long as I have no issue with anything I saw.
Yeah, mostly just office supplies
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
A motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
All right. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. So those of fiscal year 14 have been passed, and we'll pass on to fiscal year 15 to Steve.
Motion to approve the bill schedule for the first of the fiscal year 15.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 to approve. Olive is the first one. Do you need to run that down before the end of the meeting to make sure it gets in?
She's gonna hold it for me for tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we also have 2 out of the 3 that are on our agenda. We have 2 of the minutes. So we have the minutes from January 13th, 2014, and for April 28th, 2014. So the January is Marion and myself, and the other one is all 3 of us. So the January one is
What?
this one right here. The January 1/13/2014. Did you get that one? Oh, there it is. So would you like to make a motion on the January?
Yeah, I would like to make the motion that we accept these minutes of January 13th, 2014.
Okay, I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. So we have a 2-0 vote for January 13th, 2014 to accept the minutes. Okay. Do we have a motion on the second set of minutes?
Have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of 28 April 2014.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 to accept the minutes as written.
We're tabling the other ones.
Excuse me?
We're tabling the other ones, right?
213?
Yes.
The 213.
Yes, the 2-3 we do not have in our packets.
And those we will have at the next meeting.
That's great. Okay, so at this time, it is, my eyes lights. All right, there we go. It's only 6:10. We have 5 minutes till the first hearing. So at this point, we can step down to number 7A, director's issues. If you're ready for that, Darlene, you can just jump in and keep going.
Absolutely. So on director's issues, in your packets, you have some copies of correspondence, some letters that have gone out, and you also have from DEP, each year they send out kind of an annual update on paperwork. We have a couple of items that we have to respond to. We have an emergency contact list that we're going to be updating. I think hopefully in your packets we had Andy's information in there, and we actually only had his, so we want to put some couple layers on that. So just in case there's an emergency, myself or Eileen, obviously, you know, whichever members of the board want to be contacted in the event that there's a public water supply issue or something that relates to hazardous spills or something of that sort. So this is just a routine emergency contact list. that gets sent out by DEP. What I did propose is obviously changing Andy's information to myself, adding Eileen as a second primary contact, just as we do for all normal emergencies, and then wanted to suggest the board's favor for either the chair, the vice chair, or any others that you would see fit.
I just filled mine out, so if you want to put me on there, I don't
Okay,
mind being a
cool.
contact, and then if one of the other board members want to put
Awesome.
themselves down as a contact, that's what works.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. I will take care of that and send that into DEP. So there's that item. And then also, I highlighted for you in your packet a list of the public water supplies in town. Again, that's an annual list that they update every year on the current status. We have 5, five public water supplies. And then under the D, those are decommissioned. So at one time they qualified, but now they're no longer active. So from these, we get annual reports they're required to send an annual report, basically of everything, the testing that they've done all year long. If they've had any violations or any improvements to the water supply, any treatment systems. So we additionally have this is the time of year that they send them out as well. So we do have in receipt over the past week, we got all these in, and you're more than welcome to peruse them. We have Elm Hill, Woodland Water District, Auburn Water District, and these are all, again, available for you to look at. We keep copies of them here at the Board of Health, and these are also public record copies. They typically get sent out or made available to the users for these districts. So if you're in one of these districts, typically they'll send some sort of nice newsletter or let the users of the public water supply know that these are available. So
I got one at home.
Oh, good.
Coffee
Yeah.
and water.
Yep, that's
Yeah, I get
that's
one, too.
typical for them. So we have those public water supply and reports. We also have third-party inspections for DEP. They actually are going to be doing some solid waste inspections. There's requirements for them having solid waste facilities such as Casella.
Okay.
Transfer facilities are going to be required to have third-party inspections, and those results are going to be sent to DEP and a copy to the local Board of Health. So I just wanted to let you know that is something that is fairly new. We have the tobacco compliance update. I wanted to let you know that as I mentioned at our last meeting, we had the renewals going out in June for all of our tobacco establishments. As of today, I'm happy to report all the tobacco retailers have renewed, and I believe everybody was on time, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. So we have made significant improvements from when we renewed in December. As you recall, we had a lot of late fees. So getting the word out, we had some really good compliance. We do have a new establishment in the mall that sells e-cigarettes and retail sales for that. That actually has been a establishment in the mall, but it's just changed hands to a new vendor. So we just got that renewal as well, or new establishment. So I just wanted to report that, and then we also had some good information from our Worcester Regional Tobacco Coalition that we belong to. As you recall, I had told you last month that we wanted to do some education and making sure that we're doing those retail inspections for compliance checks and making sure people have the proper signage. They know that we have requirements for carding making sure that we're not selling tobacco products and e-cigarettes and those types of products to the youth. So there was a tobacco compliance check that was done on our establishments. We did get some feedback from our inspector. Eileen and myself both had the fortune of being able to go out with them to target a couple of places just to make sure we understand what's being checked as well, so that we can enforce that when we're going in to do routine inspections. Eileen is in many of the establishments for food, where they also sell tobacco. A lot of the stores have multiple permits with us. While she's in doing her regular routine food inspections, she can also check to just make sure if they need another sign, if one's gotten torn or tattered, we go through that as well. So we'll give you kind of ongoing updates, but I just wanted to let you know that we have had some rules are in place. We're good with that. The permits have been sent out. We're up to date on that, and we're in the process of making sure everybody has some signs and some follow-up from the inspections that were done just the past couple of weeks. So that's some information for you. In the Mass Department of Public Health, within the past month, they have started doing the arbovirus precautions, and that's going to be for paying attention to mosquitoes and positive mosquitoes that are tested throughout the state. As you may have heard, there was a positive mosquito found in Clinton. There was a public message put out by Mass Department of Public Health, again highlighting the precautions that people need to take. This is the time when people are out doing cookouts, doing games, out with the kids at night, because the weather's so nice and it stays lighter so much longer now. So again, making sure that people understand to take precaution, wear long, light clothing, and use insect repellent to make sure they're being protected. So we'll highlight again, precautions as well, but just wanted to bring to your attention, we do get weekly arbovirus reports from the state, and so we obviously keep up to date on that, keep aware of that, but making sure the public knows to take precautions for you and your family to make sure that people are protecting themselves. That goes along with not just mosquitoes, but also ticks. Obviously, this is the time of year it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yep.
So those are two vectors that we always need to kind of pay close attention to. So I just wanted to bring to your attention that, and we also have on the arbovirus contact list, again, I've updated our emergency contact. Hopefully we'll never have to use it, but myself and Eileen would be contacted, God forbid there's a positive mosquito here in town. In the Auburn account, we have, this is the the quarterly newsletter that goes out from the town. We actually have a couple of articles in there. We have a follow-up for the Hazardous Waste Day, and we were able to put the totals in there. We had 5.16 tons of liquid waste and 12 cubic yards of solid waste.
Wow.
Those were the totals from our hazardous waste hauler, and that doesn't include all of the community volunteer companies that took batteries. We had mercury, obviously, light bulbs and batteries. Eileen did a great job in making sure that all of our batteries were separated. We had several, our senior volunteer helped on the mercury side of it. And we also have Central Mass Mosquito Control that does so much for mosquito prevention. They did all the tires. They took at least, I think, at least a full truck, 1.5 truckloads of tires, because we had a whole pile at the DPW yard that they got rid of as well. So we had about 40 tires down there, and then we had a truckload here from our hazardous waste day. Osterman gas with the propane tanks. We had all different kinds, sizes of tanks. I know Ray was jumping on the truck, getting those up in there as well. So again, I can't thank you enough for all your help. I know you are all there lending a hand. Allied Waste, Osterman Gas, Central Mass Mosquito Control, Interstate Battery, Wheelabrator, the Auburn Water District with their generous donation of $5,000. The Masons were able to collect electronics for their cause, and I know they raised quite a bit of money to help their cause as well. And then we couldn't have done it so smoothly without the CERT team, the Auburn CERT team, under direction of Dr. Pellegrino. So we did a wrap-up article in the newsletter, and I also wanted to point out the second thing that we have in the newsletter is the compost bins. They are flying out. So happy that the town has embraced this program. Obviously, it's brand new. Amy Sullivan, our recycling coordinator, was able to get a grant from DEP, and which allowed us to buy these compost bins and the kitchen scrap buckets. I think we're down to 2 or 3 of the large bins and about half of the smaller bins. So we're going to be, in the next month or so, we're going to be looking to do another order for those to keep the program going. So as you recall, as you may recall, in the last meeting, we did a revolving account so that we're able to keep the renewals going. So we're happy to report that as well.
Can I
So
look at that?
yeah, absolutely. You guys feel free to take it if you'd like.
All right, at this point, I'm gonna slow you down. We're gonna
Sure.
step back to, we can probably knock out two of our hearings at the
Okay.
same time, so we'll right back to back. So,
Sure.
all right, at this point, it is 6:23, and I'd like to open the hearing for Jack's Variety. That's a follow-up request for waiver of the 3-bay sink.
Yes.
So
Okay.
if you want to give us evidence or any new evidence.
Sure. So, as you may recall, for those of you that were here for the June meeting, we had a Board of Health hearing for a request from Mr. Jack Armstrong for a variance for the required number of sinks. At that meeting, Mr. Armstrong was present, and we had a full discussion for the request and what his proposal was. At that time, the board had denied his request for not putting in any sinks for wash, rinse, sanitize, a 3-bay sink, and a hand wash sink. Since that meeting, that was back in June, we had some follow-up with the state. Eileen had contacted the state to see what the process was for appeal, because Mr. Armstrong had asked for information regarding the appeal, and we had determined that any appeal process is through the court system. That information was conveyed to Mr. Armstrong, and there was a series of correspondences back and forth for questions. So both myself and Eileen have corresponded with Mr. Armstrong and provided information. And at this point in your packet, you do have an email that I did receive from Jack Armstrong. Jack is not present this evening. However, he did say that he would like this request reviewed. He had asked initially a couple weeks after the meeting about the location for 2-bay sinks in the same area as the utility sink, which, as you recall, is the mop sink. There was an area in the rear of the store that he has a mop sink in. And at this point, you do have a request. So I did answer him to let him know that 2-bay sink, as you had discussed in allowed a 2-bay sink without a grease trap to be used instead of the 3-bay sink requirement. I did explain that he could use the 2-bay sink in the utility room. We would just have to have it on a proposed layout, as we do with all of our food establishments. A follow-up request came on June 25th, towards the end of June. He is asking if he can utilize an adjacent food establishment, licensed food establishment, to take care of his cleaning and sanitizing needs. And so that request is under June 25th. I responded to him to let him know that obviously this would have to go before the board, and I suggested some things that I thought the board may inquire about or ask, because he did state that he may not be able to attend the meeting due to his hours of the store. So you have it. I don't know if you, Ray, do you want me to read the back and forth here?
I mean, has everybody taken a look at it, read it themselves?
Yeah.
So,
He wants to use another establishment next to him.
yeah, down a few store fronts from where he is. He's
Is that-
looking.
Appropriate.
That's what we have to
Yeah.
discuss, how we want to do it, how we think. I mean, the first thing would be an MOU or a memo of understanding between the two to start that.
Right, and that's one of the things that
I saw that
think-
you did note
yeah.
that, so.
I figured you may ask for that, so that's something that I did. If he had a proposed agreement,
Yeah.
obviously to bring that to the board, to have you, kind of look it over and review, and then obviously kind of a timeline.
Yep.
If it's proposed as like a temporary,
Yeah, we have to decide
Proposal.
what temporary it
exactly.
works for.
Yeah, so he has in here,
So the next one is.
yeah, about 3 to 4 months, he would be looking for this type of proposal. So again, I'm more than happy to read these for you out loud, or if you, obviously you have it in front of you, whatever. This is all the information that I have at this
Okay.
time. I can't really answer any questions except, what pertains to this, but
Okay.
I can certainly, reference the code and.
Does anybody need Darlene to read it, or are you guys all set with what you have? All right, at this
Yeah.
point, we have there's no more evidence to be given. Do we have a motion to move on from the evidentiary part of the hearing to the discussion?
Move to close the evidentiary component of the hearing.
And we have a second from Marion, and how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0 to move on for evidentiary to discussion. Okay. I'll put you on the, what do you think? What do you, I'm reading this, what's your point of view on this? And then I'll go with with my point of view on it.
Is there any specific stipulation within the law that 2 or 3 bay sink has to be within certain proximity of the dispensing device? My major concern is the hours of operation. If he's working until 8 p.m.
She closed at 3.
and she closes at 3,
Yeah.
I could only see if he considered
That's one of the notes I put down as soon as I saw it, so that means it's
Limit.
not getting cleaned at night, it's getting cleaned in the morning.
Right.
So,
What's the normal cleaning schedule on a device like this?
well, they should be cleaned at the end of every day.
End of the day.
Most equipment should be cleaned. Should be cleaned during the day as it gets dirty, and at the end of the day, it should be cleaned. The other issue I have with it going down is you're walking 100 yards. There's dust, there's everything like that. Are you putting it inside a sealed container? Are you putting gloves on when you carry? I mean, it depends on how much we're gonna push it and where we're gonna go with it. It is code. I did get some more information, and I did not bring it with me today. I got halfway here from Framingham and realized I didn't have it with me. I went into a couple different towns and what they've done with this, and there was some variances. And didn't have a chance to call you on it. They had variances, and it was a tight stipulation. It went through the courts beforehand to make sure it was legal. And what it said was that they could not serve anything but that coffee machine. If they changed it, the whole thing went null and void, and they had to put a 3-bay in with a grease trap. So I think if we can stick to the 2-bay, and now we have to discuss what his option is here, how are we going to handle this? At this point, because you can weigh in on this too. What do you think about the walking 100 yards to wash it and bring it back? And
My concern was how he was going to get it there and how he's going to get back. Because
And
now you're
the
walking in the
winter.
open air in a driveway.
exactly.
So I would want you to
It's
consider.
sealed container or something.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That would be really just
And
concern I
we're
have.
talking basically a single-serve coffee dispenser.
Single serve coffee dispenser has a drip tray.
Correct. A
Um,
removable drip tray.
removable drip tray.
So
And do some clean in place for the rest of the
majority of it is clean in place,
Right.
correct, but there's two
Sanitizer
parts, there's
and
actually 3 parts that will come apart
Yes.
in most of these units.
Yep. And
So-
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's for the whole piece of equipment. Obviously, we're going to want to make sure all food contact surfaces are cleaned and sanitized.
Mhm.
So, talking about the unit, you're not going to pick it up and actually put
No.
it in a sink. Obviously, there's removable pieces such as the drip tray
2
and
or 3
maybe
removable.
maybe something on
Hopper,
top.
some of them.
Exactly, but it's not just the drip tray we're talking about. We're talking about actually being able to sanitize, clean and sanitize throughout the machine. So if
Exterior.
that's taking sanitizer and running it through, that's any food contact surface, just like we would for this being a coffee machine, that's direct plumbed. So you're not actually filling it manually. You're going to have the line that feeds right into the machine, which is the type of equipment that Mr. Armstrong is proposing.
A direct plumb?
Direct plumb,
Okay,
yes.
so there's no external tank on this particular unit?
Just like a hopper on the back that the discarded ones flip into.
Sure.
Right. So anything that we're going to be utilizing, I know some of the focus from the business owner has been on just the drip tray and so forth. It's the whole unit. So it's the whole unit being able to clean and sanitize all the exterior and interior pieces. So if it was able to be managed through a means to clean and sanitize the unit, so if he's able to run sanitizer through it and take the removable pieces, be able to clean and sanitize those as well, obviously that's what our concern would be. I know the board had looked at the previous request for a 3-bay and considered the 2-bay
Yes.
without the grease trap.
Grease trap, yeah.
Obviously, if that's something that the board wants to, obviously you already are requiring that. With coffee service, we would want to obviously look at keeping things safe and sanitary. So how are we able to achieve that? Are we able to achieve that through running sanitizer through the machine on a regular
Did you get the
identified
manufacturer's
basis?
spec sheet on this proposed unit?
We did.
Did we have
Yes.
that?
So that was reviewed, and there are cleaning requirements for the unit.
But on this
Excuse me?
On that, none of the Keurig on the other one.
On the other machine, yes.
Yeah, there was limited information on the Keurig, but I think the other machine indicated cleaning and sanitizing, which any food service equipment has to be cleaned and sanitized. If you think small scale on a coffee machine or large scale on some of the
But
big
normally the
mixers.
manufacturers are putting recommendations and specifications for that process.
Right, and obviously the food code, the federal food code is in place, the Auburn reg, to be able to say, what the requirement is. How we get to that is really through the discussion. And, I am curious, you said that you did see other towns that
Yeah,
had,
I found a couple different
did they
things.
have
and
some alternatives, Ray?
Yes, I didn't read them all the way through. I saw them, printed them out, and left them on my desk. So
Okay.
what I'm gonna do is probably email them to you tomorrow, so you can take a look at them. Then we can get them to the board, and we can go from there and figure out what we want to do. They were very regulated. One of them, one of them imposed fines if things didn't go. But I did notice some other stuff. There are 2 tables, am I correct? 2 tables on either side of the door? Okay. So people can buy sandwiches and then sit and eat there if they want to. I mean, they're most likely probably for scratch tickets and stuff like that.
Lottery,
But
Keno.
yeah. So we have to be very careful how we tread on this, because if people are eating there, that's a whole other situation, because now it becomes
In his
those
facility?
tables.
In his facility?
Yes, but he doesn't serve food to sell there. He has tables for convenience.
Oh, I see.
But if people start eating there, now you're looking at people eating there, so the tables have to be cleaned and sanitized correctly also. So that's this whole, it just opens up a lot more with him having tables. If it was just a grab and go and people eating in their cars, we don't control that. But if there are tables in place, he is offering a place for them to sit and eat. And we have to be real careful, because that becomes more to food service, really, even though if you think about it, McDonald's packages all their food to go, but you can eat in their restaurant, so they have to keep it sanitized. So it's the same thing. They can be buying a sandwich that's a pre-made sandwich that they can buy there. If they're sitting down at a table, it's kind of on the gray area of food service. So we have to be, he's not making the food there, but people are eating there, and I think in the code it says something about eating in location. So
And I definitely, I just want to be clear, we definitely give him a retail food
Yep.
permit, but not a food service.
No.
So he's not
no,
preparing.
he's not preparing any food, and we know that, or else it would have been a 3-bay right away.
Yep. So we do have, in the federal food code, we do have under the manual ware washing, the requirements for, the 2-bay and what's required, obviously, going through the board. If he wanted to go that route, obviously, he is putting that request before you, because I think he wants to do something in as an alternate, I would say. We do have, not to, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do also want to point out, we do have, a lot of establishments that are already existing, that have similar type establishments that have convenience store, where they may at one point have sold coffee, or don't sell coffee any longer. But there are establishments, I think I had mentioned this last time, that do have 3-bay sinks, whether they are on the smaller scale, or whether or not they don't serve coffee any longer. They do have some sort of sink at their establishment that allows them to clean and sanitize. Now, where coffee is not a potentially hazardous food, the board can certainly consider, the alternatives as identified at the last meeting, 2-bay or the alternatives that are identified under the food code.
The 2-bay or the, what else? What did you say? The alternative.
Alternative is part of the code.
You have the whole list of Shenanigans.
Oh, do you have the list? Eileen actually made copies. Eileen has spent a lot of time, thank you, a lot of time on the, going through the code and providing educational information to Mr. Armstrong, and corresponding with the state as well. So you may find that helpful in seeing what was discussed at the last meeting and what.
These are the alternatives we had actually gone over with the state as well.
The state had also referred to the section that was discussed as last time for coffee service. It might be something that going forward we come up with a protocol
Yes.
for coffee service,
Yep.
which I think might be helpful for future establishments. This establishment, obviously under your your review,
Mhm.
and going forward to be able to identify what those requirements are.
Yeah, and once we have that packet, it'll make it easier for when you go out or you do a plan review, you can say, okay, this is what you require. You can just bring it in front of us, say, okay, this is where the
Right.
board is, and then you can bring it to us, say, this is what you approved for this one, this is the same operation, we're doing it here, and just want to really get approval on that. I mean,
Right.
that's going to be simple enough, it's going to be easy.
Mhm.
I wish I had brought that paperwork with me, it would have made things so much easier, but I was in a rush to get here. Can we,
Yeah, we can certainly.
what is the size of the, have you seen the drip tray? Is it about this big?
It's small. I mean, even though this is a commercial machine, it's still, he does not have it. But the Keurig I did see in another establishment, and it's about this big.
Yep.
And so it's just the small underneath. It's had the same reservoir where once you put your K-cup in
Mm-hmm.
and make your coffee, the next person that comes to open it, your K-cup disappears into a back fill.
Okay.
So that piece would be taken and emptied at some
And
time
that
in
one
the
should be
future.
clean too.
When it's filled.
When it's filled,
Um,
so.
That particular one though, Ray, I will tell you, this is the one he talked about at the hearing, not
Yep.
the Keurig.
Okay.
But, the Keurig, this particular machine is really not that much bigger than some of the ones you have in your home.
Okay.
But it's typically, the water is piped into it, so that's why you're not seeing an open reservoir.
Yep.
And somewhere back here, how you see the line there, that's like another little container so you don't have to touch the wet K-cup.
Okay.
So someone coming in just puts their hands only on theirs, and it
Okay.
goes in the back.
But obviously, the exterior pieces, the interior pieces,
Yeah.
we want clean and sanitized.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So my proposal for now, I mean, food safe container, about 18 inches by 6 inches by 8 to 10 inches, whatever works. If he's able to put those into a container to get them down and be clean. The issue what Steve brought up is the time. At 8 o'clock at night, he's not going to be able to clean it. My suggestion would be to put those pieces in, and before he opens at 7 in the morning, since Lorna opens at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, he washes it. Now the problem being, what's going to dry in? What's going to, usually you want to clean that stuff right away. I don't know. To me, for now, it's a good idea. I saw the one about getting rid of the drip tray. I wouldn't even look at that part of it, because you still have to have it there. If not, you're going to have seepage onto your tabletop, and then you're going to have issues, and then you're going to have other issues. So I'd like him to keep the drip tray. But my proposal is we can find him. I would okay this for probably 30 days from when he gets the machine until we can figure out, maybe we can come up with a better solution. That's just my thing. I wouldn't want to go the 90 to 120. I'd say let's try it out for 30 days. Maybe we come up with a better way of doing it, because there was another way. Brookline did it. I heard that West Chin brought it to my attention, and Watertown did it, and it was just a different way they did it. And I got to bring those into you, because you'd be able to read it, you'd be able to understand a little bit better than I did. So I'd like to see the 2-bay in there. I mean, we went from a 3-bay and a grease trap down to the 2-bay, which I thought was great. I understand, it is a cost, and I get that, but that's the other thing too, is the health code doesn't work on cost. The health code works on safety. So I would be okay for a short period of time if he had a sealed container that he was able to travel stuff back in. Thing is, the container's gonna have to be washed before you can put the clean stuff back into it. May have to have two. I don't know
Disposable gallon Ziploc bags.
if you can do that, and then
If it
put in
will fit.
put in a fresh one. I mean, just something like that, so we can help him out. I want him to be able to get his coffee service in and get started, because I think he's gonna expand. I think if he starts serving coffee, it's gonna be like people will say, "Hey, do you have this? And do you have that?" So he's going to expand. So he's going to need the 2-bay anyways.
Selling prepackaged foods?
Yes.
All right.
So that's how I would go with it. Try to be as lenient, but stay as tight to the code as I can. I mean,
Are you saying to him, for him to put it in a plastic bag and bring it all the way down to
So
Heritage?
take a walk down if that's how he's going to do it right now. If they have a
Box
memo
or
of
container.
understanding, and then after it's washed and cleaned, they're supposed to air dry. And I don't know if he has enough time for air drying. That's,
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't like that idea, to tell you the truth.
okay, no, that's fine. That's why I'm putting it out there. I mean, that's what he suggested to help him get the machine in quicker, to earn some more money, so he can get the money to put the tube in. So.
Would you limit his hour of operation, or would you just,
Well, you could limit the coffee service till 3, but I mean, that's people who usually get if they want to get coffee, Lorna's closed at 3, Heritage is closed at 3, he closed at 3, no one can get coffee in that plaza, they have to go someplace else. I mean, it's a question of what we feel comfortable with. And that's why I had shut it down to 30 days instead of 90 to 120, because maybe we can get things moving in the right direction.
I mean,
Yep.
if the board discusses what those options are, I mean, as somebody that would be the keeper of records
Mhm.
in making sure that we're following what the board is proposing, because this obviously would be a temporary approval of this request. So, temporary approval for this request. I would obviously like to see the memorandum of agreement or understanding, between both parties, what exactly is going to be handled as far as how he's going to meet the cleaning and sanitizing of the code, basically spelled out. So what pieces of equipment, if he's going to have a sanitizer that he's going to run through. So basically how he's going to clean and sanitize the pieces that are removable or the cleaned in place items, and then what he's going to be doing at the adjacent food establishment to bring over to his in keeping that clean. Obviously keeping some sort of record so that those procedures can be verified.
Okay. So what we really need is a proposal from him, like a really, if he's going to do that proposal, he needs to get that all in place before we can even say that we're going to allow it for 30 days or something like that. I think if we go back to him, we can say, put it in place, give us your proposal for that so we can bring it to the board so the board can then vote on that. Because right now we're guessing how he's going to do it. We're saying, oh, maybe he should put it in this, maybe he should put it in that. I think he needs to come up with that and give it to us and how he wants to do it. We shouldn't be giving him we can explain to him how we think it should be done, but I think we should get a proposal from him. He may already have these ideas already, and I think if he puts them forward and says, oh no, this is how I'm going to do it, I have a cart, it's going to go inside a cart, zipped in or whatever, he may have stuff already in place. So I think if he gives us a full proposal, then we have a better chance we can either add to the proposal or say no to the proposal or say yes. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's why I'm leaving it open for...
does the food code require a specific time of cleaning of the items? End of the day, is it specifically, or is it just daily?
It's daily cleaning.
So if he was to clean them first thing in the morning before he opened,
Mhm.
that complies with the code?
Yes, I believe the code just says daily cleaning of
Okay.
equipment.
The practice is at the end of the day.
The practice is the end of the
But
day
the
because
code
you don't
says
you don't
daily.
want it sitting overnight
Exactly.
and getting
All right.
bugs and
All right.
everything like that.
My only concern with waiting for him to get back to us is when's our next meeting, a month down the road?
Yes.
What if the, obviously, it's something that we're used to dealing right with the operators and
Mhm.
going through and identifying what the procedures and instructions are in place. If in speaking with the operator, they identify how they're going to take care of the cleaning and sanitizing, could we then review it, and if it meets the definition of what the code is?
Yeah. I don't think it needs to be brought to us if it meets the requirements of the code. Because he's not asking for a variance on the 2-bay sink, he's asking can I clean this way until I get my two-bay sink? So actually, I don't think it needs to come in front of it. It's not a variance.
Well, that was my
yeah,
original question.
if it
is
meets
does
the code.
Does the code restrict how far from the service?
No, it's hand washing sinks that they require
sink.
so close.
We would, I think, by our conversation, we would want to include an additional step of protecting the supplies
Yeah.
from that transition between the two
Yep.
front doors.
Mm-hmm.
So while he's taking it out the front walkway,
Yep.
to keeping car dust, oils,
Yeah.
other airborne issues off of it that would not normally be on the inside of the building. So in a container,
Yes.
a Ziploc, a box or whatever,
Yeah.
food grade container.
Yeah. Exactly.
To another establishment.
I mean,
I
I'm not.
don't like
It's,
the
I,
idea.
But again, the code doesn't specifically state that it has to be within your exact.
It's almost common sense.
Well,
Yeah.
I
But it's not
don't know
forever.
that
It's
it
not.
doesn't.
It's a limited.
It's
It's a limited.
it's limited time.
So
Ray, is this something that you're just considering to extend till he has time to get a sink?
Yes, this isn't forever.
Have you looked at all the alternatives and thought about the 3 buckets that we chatted with the state about?
it still needs a place to fill them.
I'm just not. I'm
The mop
not a
sink?
fan. That's why I have another one, and it talks about the mop sink being used as the cleaning sink, and there's another way they did. I gotta remember. It's really good. I read it. I just don't want to. I don't want to misspeak and say it wrong on.
But if you look at what the
Yep.
code says, and that's what Diane called us about, it's
Yeah.
actually 3 tubs.
Yeah.
Kitchen, where...
And where does he where does he fill it from the?
Well, we would have to allow him to use that to fill it, but not to clean, not to utilize that sink, which would have all the grime and dirt in. But if you're looking at a temporary measure, if you start taking outside, down the sidewalk, into another establishment,
So you're saying the three tubs as a temporary only?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's a allowed alternate use.
Okay.
And I think this is what you're discussing tonight, is
It's just a temporary.
30 days,
Yeah.
60, whatever.
I would be okay with that because I just don't want people, because I'll tell you right now, I would not fill 3 buckets. I would just wash right there. Who's going to see me? And I understand that's not what we want to see done. It's just human nature. If I can fill 3 buckets for 15 minutes, and I have to empty them, clean those, and everything. And I understand what he's saying. He's figuring it's going to be easier just to walk them down, wash it, bring it back. We need a fix. We need a short-term fix until he gets the two-bay sink.
And
Within 30 days or?
Well, we want to review it again at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'd have to review.
You know, not 30 days from today, but 30 days from when he commences.
When
that.
he starts, he may not get the coffee machine for a month and a half. I
Right.
mean, we don't know when he's
Or
going to get it in. So
Right.
he could have it in tomorrow. So
I mean, I'm comfortable with a MOU.
I'm
From-
actually, I think also what Eileen said is there is in these systems here, what is approved by the federal food code is a 3-bucket system. And I wasn't even thinking that because I was still reading what he said is this is how he wants to do it. And I said, if we do that, we need an MOU. I would be okay with that, with the 3 buckets, 3 food safe buckets. They fill them, hot water, and then they do the sanitizer. So you do the hot water, the soap, the rinse, that. They'd have to set it up. They'd have to have a place to set it up, and that's where it's going to come down to. As long as they can wash everything and they can do it according to the code,
Yeah.
I'm fine until he gets his 2-bay sink. But I don't want it to last for 6 months. I don't want the 6-month deal. I want him to move forward and get this 2-bay and get things started. I just think.
Does the food code have specific storage requirements of these 3 buckets?
if I can just,
Sure.
I just want to just bring us back. The request that is before you is for a temporary, basically, use of cleaning the equipment down at the adjacent licensed food establishment. So I realize what we're talking, we actually have 2 different things we're talking about. So
Right.
I just want to keep the focus on what the request is before you, and then we can certainly talk about alternatives that that the board may consider for this type of service, for coffee service. It's something that if the board wants us to put put some more education and proposal behind it, we can certainly look at that. And that would also give you time to, I think you have some
I
ideas.
have some
of-
stuff that I can bring forward
Yeah.
to you. So,
Some
I would-
ideas,
I would-
I agree.
you know.
I would feel comfortable, as Darlene said, from what he is requesting, to use the adjacent facilities sanitizing setup, the
Mhm.
3-bay sink, to do his daily cleaning as required by the federal food code. Now, the external cleaning, are disposables allowed, or is he just gonna go back and forth with
So the, I'm sorry, the external cleaning for the cleaned in place.
Mhm.
So what he would need to do, and that's something that Eileen and I can work with him on, he would need to clean and sanitize the exterior of the
Yeah.
machine. And
disposable towels and a spray or something?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
could use paper towels, sanitary, disposable
Right.
towels with an improved sanitizer. Obviously, he's familiar. He did have a previous store at a different location that had
Mhm.
food service, so he's familiar with sanitizer and what that involves. So we would go through the sanitizer process, making sure he could clean the exterior and be able to run sanitizer through the machine as well.
okay.
That's something that we both feel very comfortable showing the operator how to do that. And then we can also look at having a future discussion, because obviously the request that you're looking at is a temporary request. You can put whatever conditions you want on that. So if, as Ray said, you want to tighten up the time that he's looking to do that, or if you want to, I think he's proposing 3 to 4 months. You can put conditions on the request. That's obviously before you, and Eileen and myself can look at, while this is going on, we can look and see what
So-
else options are out
So
there.
I guess I was confused. Again, I thought we were trying to find, so his request was using another location to clean his stuff.
Correct. That's the request
Have
that's
we,
before
have we
you.
gone back to him with any of the other options yet? The 3 bucket or anything like that? Okay.
That,
All right,
that
so-
has not
I don't
been,
like the 3 buckets. Epidemiological studies have shown growth mean
I know, I understand.
I don't like
I mean, neither
Okay.
option is really what we're looking
but
for.
as far as using
Yeah.
the sink down at the next, at the neighbor,
Yep.
as he requested, I like the stipulation of having it transported between the 2 stores in a covered food grade container. That's also subject to
Clean,
the same
yeah.
cleaning
Yeah.
process, sanitizing
For a period of
process.
how long?
For a maximum of,
Yeah.
well, I would want to review it, like Ray said, within 30 days.
Yeah, which would be the next meeting,
Okay.
just about, so.
All right.
I
Unless
think-
he doesn't start
I think
until
we
31
really,
days.
and it's my fault too. I wasn't looking at the right thing. I thought we were trying to figure out a new way for him to do this, and we got way off track, and I
Eileen's got
apologize.
the ideas now. She
Okay.
can talk
So-
to them and everything, but.
But,
I think the discussion is good. I just,
Yeah.
all the board's discussion is good, and I think it's good to
Mhm.
talk about these things, but I just want to be clear, if the request is before us, that's kind of
That's-
the request
that's
that we
what the-
have to
well,
go
and that's the
with.
thing is, I was reading and I didn't realize exactly which one was the final request of what he was looking for, so.
There's, I highlighted several areas because
Yeah.
there's follow-up.
Okay.
So again, it's before you because certainly it's a
Okay.
follow-up from our last meeting.
All right. So the question is can he use another facility until he gets his 2-bay sinks, is what he was looking at right now.
Does he
Within
have to
30
own the
days.
sink?
Well, we can.
Does he have to own the sink, or can he use the neighbor's sink?
And I can certainly, we can look in the code to get you clarification on that. I mean, it's a food establishment. If we're going to be giving a permit for coffee service, I'm sure we have it in here that,
It's
Yeah.
appropriate for him to take from his facility to another facility and clean it and bring it back. And we got that.
this is a temporary proposal.
temporary
But again, in a
proposal.
covered food grade plastic container.
Yeah, and that would
That'll also
all
be
have to
clean
go
and
into.
sanitized.
Yeah,
With the letter of understanding,
So.
memorandum.
okay?
All right. So do I have a motion? Do we have any more discussion?
No.
Do I have a motion to close discussion part of the hearing?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. So now we need a motion on how we want to handle this.
speak up.
All right.
I'm not in agreement of it, but it's okay.
Alright. So we'll make a motion to approve the request contingent upon conditions to allow the vendor to proceed with coffee service only, utilizing sanitizing sink setup. How do you word it?
In another facility.
In the proposed
In the
facility.
proposed facility.
Here.
For clean, rinse, and sanitize,
Clean, rinse, and
utilizing
sanitize.
Right.
the adjacent
Right,
license.
and the
food
conditions, the
establishment.
conditions would be that there's a letter on file, memorandum of understanding between himself and the other facility
Mhm.
under that agreement.
For
That
30
the,
days.
that the removable components that require the cleaning and sanitizing be transported between the two establishments in a covered food-grade plastic container, which shall also be cleaned and sanitized on a daily basis for no more than 30 days after commencement of his coffee service, and then to be reviewed again by the board.
I'm not going to repeat all that. Do we have a
Neither
second?
am I.
Do we have a second?
Does that make sense?
I understand where you're going with that. So we have a motion on the table, which I will not reiterate, and we have a second. Okay, this is a roll call vote. Steve, how do you vote?
I hope I vote aye. My num-
And Marion, how do you vote?
Yes, I vote aye.
Ray votes no. So it's a 2-to-1 vote to for everything that Steve said. So it's 2-to-1. It's a go for 30 days until we can review.
Okay, so it's fair to put this as a follow-up for review for the next meeting?
Yes, yes, please. We will definitely. I'll have the paperwork there, and then we'll go through everything there, and hopefully by then he's a little closer. Apologize for that taking so long. Can we have a motion to close the hearing of Jack's Variety?
I make that motion.
Second.
All right, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, since we do have Fusion Cafe, is that you? Why don't you have a seat? I'd like to open the hearing for Fusion Cafe. We'll put 17 Hourhead to the back while they're here. We can do this
Okay.
real quick.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to open this hearing for the Fusion Cafe, and it has to do with the frozen dessert license. If you could just introduce yourself to the board, please.
And Matt.
Matt?
Yep.
And you are?
Kasha,
Kasha? Okay.
do you have that paperwork?
Yep, should be one of your...
Oh, yeah, there.
I'm Ray, and
Marion?
Steve?
Steve. Okay, so you're here for a hearing today on your dessert license. And what we do here is we start with the evidentiary part of the hearing, where Darlene or Eileen will give their information, and then you'll have a chance to give yours. Then we'll close that part of the, once all the evidence is forward, we'll close that part of the hearing, then we'll have a discussion, and after the discussion, we do a vote on how we're gonna proceed. Okay, any questions on that?
No.
Okay, so Eileen or Darlene, who wants to start?
I can, what I'm gonna do is I'll start generally, and then Eileen has been working very closely with the operators of the establishment, so I will have her give the details. So we have Fusion Cafe in the Auburn Mall, and they do have a frozen dessert license. The frozen dessert machine that they have currently is actually, I believe, the second machine that you've had since earlier this year. They were operating a frozen dessert machine, and through a routine inspection, we discovered that they did have the machine, however, we weren't getting test results. So we were able to provide education regarding the state regulation for the testing requirements, and the operators were able to get an account with a certified lab to be able to do testing as required by the state frozen dessert regulation. We have the discussion for the board. The operators have had some issues with test results. We've
Okay.
had the last 2 test results have not passed for the standard plate count. For the dairy requirement for standard plate count as required by the regulation. So Eileen has been working very closely with the operators to be able to identify what issues may be going on with the machine, going through cleaning and sanitizing, breaking down the machine. We have been in contact with the state as well for clarification on the regulation, on testing and retests and so forth. At this time, we are looking at what the requirements are, and in speaking with Matthew, we wanted to just have some explanation on what they think may be going on
Okay.
with the unit, and as far as if they want to continue with the frozen dessert license, or I believe there's some alternates that have been suggested as well, and I'm sure that's something that you're more than welcome to bring up. So we do have a letter that I think in your packet.
Can I just-
Oh, I'm sorry, yep. Letter in your packet that I just gave to the board, and then actually we have a copy for the owner of the establishment. Anytime there are test results that have 2 out of 4 results, there's requirements for the state to be able to have those results be in passing requirements. So we have, again, have it here to discuss basically just what, going forward, what the frozen dessert permit will be, and if there's any requirements from the board of what you want followed in addition to the state reg, if there's anything further. Elaine, do you have anything to add?
No, at this point, no.
Okay. I've covered, we also do have the operator's manual for the unit that they have
Okay.
as well. And I believe it's a refurbished machine?
Yep.
Okay. So it's similar to the Dairy Queen machine. I think it is actually a refurbished Dairy Queen machine. And they have done dairy testing up to this point. I believe that there may be something that you may be proposing for alternative.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we want to get the machine tested with a different product that does contain dairy.
That does.
Yep. Versus
Okay.
the one that failed twice, because
Okay.
that came from a different supplier.
Company, yeah.
Oh, going with a different supplier.
When we originally started with the Softer, we used U.S. Foods as
Yeah.
a supplier, and
The
up
last
to
2
then,
times, yeah.
it passed. When we worked with PFG, when they brought us the mix, that's when it started failing. So when I know there's nothing wrong with the machine because it holds temperature, it freezes right. So we think it's the mix.
You think it's the product?
Yep,
Okay.
Did you have any of that product left?
I have it. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
called the
one
supplier and I said, if we get this one tested from a different brand and this one passes and theirs failed, we want a refund on all the cases of it that we bought.
That's what I was asking. Did you have any opened that you could test separately yourself outside of the required testing here? Did you have some product
Yeah.
that was still open? I know your mom said she took the machine apart.
Mhm. Like the machine's been cleaned the exact same way we've been cleaning it from the beginning.
It
Like I told you, we didn't test before because we were taking products from US Foods, and they didn't have long time, probably 2-3
Yeah,
weeks,
so
or
we
maybe
had to buy
longer.
it from
So
a
we
different
had to order
supplier.
from other place, and they brought me and twice.
And that's when it failed, yeah.
I don't know, but
So
we have same machine. We washed same before, and I don't know.
I would offer that I did go to the site Ray after the first one. Failure we got, and talked to Matt, and then actually went back a couple days later and sat with Matt while he did the cleaning of all the stuff was in the sink. Watched him clean it, sanitize it. I didn't watch him put it back together because he still needed to let it air dry and rinse it. But I did see the machine entirely taken apart and being washed, rinsed and sanitized.
Can I also just point out one more thing? So we actually take the machine apart every night, wash it, rinse it,
Every day,
sanitize it,
same thing.
and put it together. So we do that every single day.
Mhm.
So it's not like we're leaving the mix in there. That's why it failed.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to clear that up. The second thing is I actually spoke to Electrofreeze, who manufactures the freezers. They said for that specific machine, the product can be held in there for up to 5 days before it's taken apart.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not the machine.
Okay.
So we're literally convinced it's the mix.
Okay. I mean, it's well, actually. Is there any other evidence before we go into discussion?
I just wanted to clarify, you started with US Foods as the supplier.
Yep.
You said for mix when you first went with the first machine? Okay, and then you went to PFG
Yep.
for this machine?
No, we
No.
still work with US Foods,
We
but
work with
they
US
didn't
Foods all the
have
time. They were out of
mix.
stock of the vanilla soft serve mix,
Yep.
so we couldn't be left without soft serve. So we have a contract with PFG for our other store, so we just ordered some from them.
Okay, but you had problems with
Yeah.
mix from this last round from the supplier?
Yeah.
Okay, but the machine, I think, because when we first did our inspection, I think it was earlier this year, you had a different machine.
Yep.
And we had a failing test on that as
Yep.
well, so that was different mix
Yeah, it's
at that time
Yep.
from the US Foods.
Yep.
So it was different mix from what US Foods and then PFG, but it was also a different machine as well, so we
Right,
have.
but the reason that one failed is because we were using a different sanitizer. So now we use I think like a chlorine-based one versus
A little bit stronger, I think
whatever it was
better
before.
for like, machine, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we just we obviously want to clear up what the issues are, because if there was a failing test on a previous machine, and then two failing tests on this machine, obviously figuring out what the machine,
Yep.
if there's something that we need to figure out on making sure that all the pieces are taken apart. And then for this machine, because it's refurbished, are there any pieces in there that have to be replaced, or to your knowledge,
No.
they're all complete?
No, because when we got it, it came. They send out a guy from Electrofreeze that inspects it and turns it on and sets it up for you. So if there was something needed replacing, he would have replaced it, or we wouldn't be able to use the machine.
Okay, so Electrofreeze has done a complete overhaul of the machine to check to make sure it's working properly, and showed you the cleaning procedures and sanitizing? Okay.
Are there any more evidence before? Because the question, we're actually doing discussion now, and we shouldn't be
Okay.
doing this at this point. So if,
Okay.
any other evidence, I mean, you told us about the machine and the mix. Is there anything else you want to say before we go into discussion? Because now what we'll do is we'll go into discussion, then I can start asking you questions.
Okay.
Okay? Do I have a motion? Motion?
Move to close the evidentiary hearing.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we're in discussion, so this is where we're going to ask you questions about different things. So my question is, since you have this new machine, and you had the US food mix, did you have passing numbers with the US foods and this machine?
Yeah.
You did.
Yep.
And then you had two fails, and both of them with the PFG?
Yep.
Okay. All right, that answers my question. Eileen, go ahead, you had a question? Sorry.
Well, mine was kind of on that same line.
Okay.
When you went to this machine, you were using US Food. In May, Matt, is when you had a problem not getting the product because you didn't have a test done in May.
Right. Yeah.
So sometime around May is when you switched to PFG, and then June and July failed.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to say the same thing that they said earlier, is I would probably want to get a test of the product.
Yeah, we
For
were
the simple
thinking.
fact that you could be getting tainted product. And if you're getting tainted product, of course your thing's going to be off. Because I'm looking at your numbers, and your numbers went from 250 to 60,000 to 200,000.
Yeah.
I've seen I work in another town as an inspector, and I get 27 of those a month because I have I have a large amount of the town, and I get 2 from some of the different places. I've never seen one that high. I've always been right around 60, 70 if I have a fail, but most of the time I'm at 25,000, which is a pass. So for that number to be like, you'd have to not clean it for like 3 weeks
Right.
for the number to be that high. So I do feel as working in the food industry for 20 years before I became an inspector, I do feel there is something missing, and it could very well be the product. If you're using the same product and you had those higher numbers, the 60 from before that you failed on the other machine that you were still using US Foods at that time could have been, like you said, the sanitizer issue. That can go either way. That one's closed. But to be this high, it's got to be, you're starting with an already product that's already, I believe, high in that count. And then when you're going in, that's my opinion. It may not be exactly what the labs find or what we find, they may find. So I think if you clean the machine and you switch back to a new product, get it tested, if you hit it again, it's got to be the product.
Yep.
And I can't give you a written correspondence to that so you can give it to PFG, but I do feel, in being in the business and seeing that in the past, it could be you're receiving a tainted product. We don't know if their temperature is going down on delivery. Not all their trucks are great, but let's. I think at this point, you should maybe get an individual test of the product itself.
I'm sorry. Powiedzmy, że za każdym razem, jak byliśmy za pierwszym razem i za drugim, to otwieraliśmy nową kiesę, no na przykład, żeby gdzieś z nowej to dodawaliśmy test, bo to też jest ważne. Rzeczy
So,
nowe.
every time we would have a test, obviously if the
First
machine
and
is
second time, yeah.
if the machine is obviously cleaned every single day and night, so by the end of the day, if there's only a little bit left, like in the machine when we take it apart to clean it, we usually throw it out.
Yep.
There's no point in putting it in the fridge and then
Yeah,
it's gonna
exactly.
foam up and so we don't want to mix that in. So if most of the time when we've been testing it, there's only a little bit left because we go through a lot of soft serve on a daily basis.
Okay.
So we just discard that. So we always start with a new,
bag,
with a
yeah.
fresh bag.
Yep.
So, I mean, the machine is cleaned the same way it's been cleaned. So, I mean,
And that's why I said
We just took
I'm
like different case, different
Yeah.
box with, the mix.
and that's why I'm saying that it possibly could be the product that you're getting in. So you want to make sure that's correct. Other than that, I have no other questions. Does the board have any questions for them?
I know, it sounds like the product.
It could be. I mean, we don't know if I mean,
They have to
if
test
you're
it.
watching him clean it, Eileen, and you said he's doing a great job cleaning it,
Well-
it's you're saying what you saw, everything.
I saw him cleaning it.
Yes.
We did discuss
Obviously,
some
we clean
changes
every
that,
day, but,
Yeah.
obviously
we
want,
discussed some
like,
changes, Ray, that needed to
Okay.
be done. Matt didn't have the sink set up the right way, and I
Okay.
think it could have been done more expediently to get him to air dry
Yeah.
and get in, setting the sinks up the right way, but he had the proper brushes, did it an extra 10 or 15 minutes soaking in the water because we were waiting for test number 2.
Yeah.
So what I can say is, prior to test number 2,
Mhm.
I was there while he was actually cleaning it, and they came that day.
Yeah. So,
So-
we could be looking at a product issue. So, okay.
And there's been no change in the sampling techniques.
So what's your?
Yeah, if I may, I just wanted to bring to the attention of the board, Eileen has spent a significant amount of time, going over the proper procedures, the standard operating procedures for the frozen dessert, making sure that we have that and that they are being followed. So she has gone down that road, and obviously part of the standard operating procedure for the operator of any frozen dessert is to make sure that when the product is being delivered, obviously it's coming from a licensed source, it's coming in at the proper temp. They're responsible to make sure if they see product coming in and it seems like, geez, this case seems like it's warm, obviously they should be temping that as it comes in and making sure that if you see any issues with temperature coming in, or if there's a tear in the bag or anything like that, there's any sort of leaking, that's on you to reject that product and bring that back. but the product coming in from a licensed source, we also have checked with the state. Eileen was able to contact the dairy program to see if there was any issues kind of on a whole scale, because obviously the operator has stated that they don't believe that the issue is with their machine, they think it's with the mix. There have been no issues reported to the state for distributors in recent weeks. So again, we just want to go through, Eileen has identified some things that they needed to improve upon, and that has been described. So we want to, obviously, we all want passing
Yep.
tests
Oh,
and be able to move forward. So if what I'm hearing from you, Matt, is that you want to try a different mix and,
Yep.
and move
Have
forward
it
with the
retested,
test, we're certainly, we're open to that, obviously, and we can review it from there.
Have
Thank
you
you.
ordered the product?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so you're waiting for the product to come in?
Yep.
And then you're gonna do another cleaning and
Actually,
sanitizing?
tomorrow's Tuesday. Yes.
Thursday. No, tomorrow is Tuesday.
Yeah. So
No,
come. Yeah.
Wednesday.
So it comes in tomorrow. Actually.
Wednesday. I
Also
can't
comes in
think
Wednesday, sorry.
sometimes.
Okay.
Today is like Wednesday,
Yep.
yeah.
So
Okay.
it's gonna come in Wednesday. So we'll have it retested on Wednesday.
Right.
All right, so what is
Is it
in,
all that fuels food?
what is in front of the board right now for us to, will we
So it
just,
was to basically review review the results.
Yep.
And again, I think what we thought may be kind of alternatives, I think you want to try further testing to
Yep.
make sure that we can move forward with
Yeah.
having
Okay.
the results. So again, that letter is just per the
it was
per the
more or less
state
to bring them in
regs.
for, to talk to us and
Yeah, just
give
to
us-
review.
okay.
It's a requirement
Yep.
of
Yeah.
the state.
With the state
Is
requirements.
it 2 or is it 3 on the requirements? I thought it was
It's
Two
2 out
for
of
the-
4.
2 out of 4, okay. All right, that's what it is, okay.
Yep. So at this point, we can move forward with,
Okay.
with the operators and with any new mix that's coming in, they'll do the test and
Mhm.
we'll go through and we can certainly report an update for you.
Okay.
Any mix that you are going to, discard, obviously just keep record of it, because if you decide, if it is determined that you think it's the mix,
Yep.
Don't
then
want
that's
it to-
something, we want to, bring that information to the state.
Yeah.
If you have that tested separately and you do find something.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
Absolutely, I'll work with you
Oh, yeah,
to
'cause
show
I
you.
definitely
Because they
want a
want to know
refund.
too, you know?
Yeah?
Right, the mix
Okay.
is very
Yeah.
expensive, obviously, the cost of losing, having to
So
do
if
the
it's like
retest.
Yeah, but still, we
it's like
want to
$40
sell
a
ice
case.
cream,
We buy
not
20
like-
cases a week. That's a lot of
Yeah,
money.
that's a lot of money,
No?
Sounds right.
so we can
Are
certainly
you going
provide
back
an
to US
update.
Foods?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So, all right, we appreciate you coming in. Thank you for coming in. We,
Thank you.
now that you have a plan of action, which is what we look for. So you're having a plan of action, you know what you want to do, and you keep in touch with Eileen and she'll make sure everything's on the right path. If something else happens, then we can figure out from there what needs to be done. But, I mean, you've already have a plan of action. You're going to change your product and go back and see what
Yep.
happens. Okay?
Thank you very much.
I'll take a
Thank you
motion to
very
close the hearing.
I make that
Thanks.
motion.
One second.
Second, we have a motion, a second to close the hearing.
Aye.
How do you vote? Aye, aye. So 3-0, close the hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank
Keep in
you
touch
very
with
much.
Eileen,
Thank you.
and she will help you out wherever she can. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
At this point, I'd like to open the third hearing, 17 Arrowhead Avenue. It's a request for extension on, I believe it was a Title V, correct?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Let me just put the file here.
All right. So, we start with the evidentiary part of the hearing. I know we had already given them time on this one, correct?
Yes, yep, that's correct.
And then I think while they were closing is when Ruth passed away.
Yeah, so 17 Arrowhead, as you recall, it was actually back in February, that the board approved an enforceable agreement. And what that basically is the current property at 17 Arrowhead has a subsurface sewage disposal system, basically a septic system on site. At the property sale, there was an enforceable agreement that was in place for them to connect to public sewer. And through the process of that sale, the previous owner had passed, unfortunately. And so this is a proposal, basically an extension of what was originally agreed. And I believe the new date is, thank you, October 1st of 2014. So they're looking to do an extension of the previous agreement that was in place for July 1st. And we would obviously want to, my recommendation to the board would be the same conditions. So there's no breakout. If there's a public health hazard that is created at the time that somebody moves in and all of a sudden there's the immediate need to connect, that would happen sooner than the October 1st. I was at the property earlier today just to verify and give the board the most current information. The property does appear to be vacant. I believe that Attorney O'Brien has stated that the property is vacant in his letter, and so there doesn't appear to be any breakout, and you know, I would recommend approval.
I drive by every day and there's nobody there at all. Yeah. So, at this point, do I have a motion to close the evidentiary, and if there's no discussion, the discussion part of the hearing,
I make that motion.
to close both the evidentiary and discussion?
As far as I'm concerned,
Okay, do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so, how do you vote?
I,
Aye. And so, does anybody have a motion on what to do with the request? Do we want to accept the request, or do we want to deny the request?
To October.
October 1st.
October 1st is what the proposal was from Attorney O'Brien.
Yeah, so you're looking at 105 days from now.
The end of the septic season.
Not really, they go right till November putting it, but they're gonna be attaching to the town sewer, so you don't have to worry about digging in. You're just going for a pipe and connecting a pipe in.
I do have to tell you, I believe there might be a moratorium for it, but I can check on that.
Yeah, if we can check with the sewer department how late they're going. I've seen them put in December on.
Yeah, I think when the snow flies, and I think Attorney O'Brien put in October 1st, so I mean, you're right at the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
So realistically, that would still be, you know, kind of agreeable weather.
Yeah. Any motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal extension
With all the same,
with all the same previously agreed on stipulations, provided it does not go beyond the moratorium,
October
Which-
1st?
which
Well,
I don't think it will, but
no.
I don't want the moratorium to hit us September 1st.
first and not
And
be able to
then
put
they're not
it.
going to be able to do it in October because
And then we have a breakout over the winter. No, I understand. Do we have a second on that motion?
second.
Okay, how do you vote?
I
Aye. 3-0 to approve the extension for 17 Arrowhead Avenue.
Right, thank you, and I will, if it's earlier than that time, then I'll
Yes.
identify that to
Whichever
Attorney
sooner.
O'Brien,
Yeah.
sure. I'll check
Mhm.
that with the sewer department tomorrow.
Okay, we are on B for inspections and all that other good stuff.
Sure. Let me just, I had a, let's see, just finishing up on the report, we did have a inquiry from a company that wanted to see if they could be on our website.
Okay.
from the town website, Lynette Zilio, with the mesothelioma, say that 10 times fast, center that has to, in regards to asbestos. There is a request from her to see if she can go under our additional links under our website. I told her that that would be something that we'd have to bring to the board, but didn't know if you wanted to review that. Didn't know if it was more so like a advertisement type. Generally, the types of items that we would put on the website have to do with anything that comes from like the state. State Department of Public Health, or our town regulations, state regulations. This is more so a center that has information about asbestos and some services for that. So I let her know that I bring it to the board.
Yep. Is it a nonprofit?
I don't know what the company is. It was
Okay.
all through email correspondence.
Because I think with the website, especially being a link, I don't feel comfortable if they're charging for anything. I don't know if it's a nonprofit, they're just trying to get information out there to people who may have been affected by this or what. I mean, just in that little notation, it doesn't really give us a lot. I think we don't run the website. I think it's more of a tool for you guys to use to get information out there. I don't want to set a precedent where somebody else is going to start wanting to advertise on there. But if it's something that has to do with helping people, I could see it working.
I'm sure
But-
DPH or NIH or any of the other organizations would have some good information on
Exactly.
asbestos
Right.
Yeah,
that we could put on the website.
exactly. We can.
.com.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
That's.
sure they do a great service, but
We can tell them we'll put a link to another asbestos information.
Right.
But at this point, I mean, unless the board is, I just don't feel comfortable just people coming in and putting stuff on the website. It's for us to get information out,
Right.
and they may have some good information. But I think, like Steve said, the DPH probably has a good page on it too that we can always, if people are looking for
Sure.
it too.
I can
CDC,
certainly.
DPH,
Yeah.
NIH, any of
CDC,
the,
yeah.
Okay. I think that's, certainly an avenue that I'm comfortable with and that I'm familiar with, and that's kind of, we try to put anything that pertains to any of the regulations and education that we want to get out from,
Yeah.
as you said, the Centers for Disease Control, the State Department of Public Health, things that are going to help our establishments and help our citizens. So I will look at trying to get just some general information, not a company information. Okay,
and
thank
is there
you.
a specific policy within the town
Yeah,
for that
exactly.
website?
That's
And,
But I prefer to stick with the NIH, CDC,
Yes,
DPH.
the state and the federal.
Yeah.
And
Makes more
actually,
sense.
along the same lines, believe it or not, I have a notification from the Commonwealth Department of Labor Standards for a lab that does asbestos and lead testing. So ironically, both things coming in around the same
Same
time,
time.
but yeah.
There must be a fact sheet you can link to.
Yeah.
And how much of a problem really is it?
Yeah, I know. I don't know how much it is in town or anything, or locally, or how
Just the
big it is.
TV commercials.
Yeah,
Yeah, asbestos
exactly.
questions, usually we have a pretty good contact with DEP.
Mhm.
So, whenever we get a question in the office, we contact DEP immediately, and they're very helpful,
Excellent.
so. Okay, I think that was everything that I had, and I think Eileen, I'm going to ask Eileen to just give an update for food, and she was pretty busy last week with the Independence celebration, and we had quite a turnout. I was there for the early part, and actually Eileen was there for the entire event. So I'm going to let her update you all.
It was postponed until from July 3rd to July 5th.
Sixth, Sunday.
On Sunday was the 6th. So the 2 weeks prior to that, we did a lot of work with all the vendors. We had 9 vendors, but they took up 13 spaces because we had several vendors that had more than one space. The day of the event, they had a new requirement this year for them to be set up early. Just about all of them were. One vendor we did need to turn away because they didn't have their proper Surf Safe and allergen awareness. They were made aware of it. We called everyone personally to tell them we were postponing and did they still want to be in it. I think at that point, we may have worked with them if they couldn't, to reimburse them. But this vendor, Extreme Concessions, was, pretty sure that they could be there and they would have the proper certification. And they had some kind of a mix-up, double booked. The people that came here,
Didn't have the right.
they just weren't able to. They tried, they gave a valiant effort to try to switch people around, but someone was at the Cape, it just wasn't going to be able to make that traffic. So unfortunately, in fairness to everyone that did have everything in order and what they needed, we did have to turn them away. The event was extremely successful for our food vendors. They were there, set up on time, able to meet the crowd before it came. And for the most part, I think where they were all set up, everyone was happy. A lot of work goes into the events here for things like that. Last week, Darlene was on vacation, so the week prior to that, we also did the tobacco inspections. I did half of them on Wednesday. Darlene did the other half on Friday. The state, with actually Worcester Tobacco Coalition, was nice enough to come out and take us both out on separate days. And that, it was extremely beneficial to me. I don't know about Darlene,
Absolutely.
to go over with our establishments on what their requirements are, because we're in there every day, and Worcester goes in once for a compliance and then once for actually to check to make sure that they're selling for the legal age limit. So we're in there much more often, and it was beneficial to see who was in compliance and who wasn't. And then we have a couple more temporaries coming up. Last week while Darlene was on vacation, we had our camp open up, and we had our ice cream places that we were dealing with. And just some of our clubs, like Century Sportsman's Club, we're still doing. I have a reinspection to do there. And that's about it. Some housing. We have a couple housing going on. I think we cleared up one of them. Now just a couple vacants.
Okay.
We are continuing to work with the Attorney General's office on the Abandoned Housing Initiative. So we have several that we've made great progress on, and new ones that we're putting into the program. So they are a work in progress, but we seem to be making good improvements, I think, on a vacant property here in Auburn.
Okay. Anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think in Steve's hands is the communicable disease report from Cheryl Berlinski, the nurse. So you can take a look at that. I don't believe we have any immediate needs for that.
Okay. So at this point, I know it says next meeting scheduled for July 28th, but I know both Mary and I are not able to make that one. So the next meeting will be August 11th. Does, I think I go back to Paul. August 11th, correct? Yep. She's holding up the thing like I can see it. I'm blind. So, do we want to set up two, the 11th and the 25th? Does that sound good? It's two Mondays in August. That sound good for everybody? The 11th and the
might be
25th.
iffy for me, but
Okay. I don't leave on vacation till the 16th, and then I'm back the 23rd. So the 11th and the 25th work for me for now. So so we need to set dates. Is that for now? Does that work for everybody? Just so we can put them on the calendar.
For now.
Okay. So we'll set the dates for the 11th and the 25th, and at least two of us will be here on each,
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Right.
Any other questions, concerns?
Just happened to be speaking with the vendor at the 4th of July celebration. Eileen, sad to say you have glowing reports on your professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good for you.
Motion to close.
I'll accept that motion. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Okay.
How do you vote? Aye. Have a good evening.